Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Zander Sprague, and I am so excited that you're joining me today. I wanted to start off with the thought of the day. Let's call it the celebrate twice habit. Celebrate now and celebrate later. Let me give you an example. When my book, Epic Begins with One Step Forward, came out, I celebrated privately and I celebrated again with the launch. And that was so fun to be able to double celebrate it. Double the joy and double that celebration of your achievements. This week, what I want you to do is celebrate one small victory twice. Maybe celebrate yourself and celebrate with your family and friends. It feels so good to be able to appreciate what you have accomplished. And remember that 97-3 rule says 97% of your day is great, up to 3% isn't as good, but the celebrate twice is all part of that 97 part. I want to give you an update about someone who's near and dear to my heart. My mother, Lee Sprague. 85 years old and still thriving. In fact, she is not slowing down. It doesn't matter that she's not as mobily able as she was before. She still is getting out there. And in fact, I am going to Japan with her in April because she's always wanted to see it. And her attitude is, as long as I can, I will. So yay, Mom. Way to really embrace epic choices and having the epic life. Now today, we have a very interesting guest, Wes Andreen. Welcome. Tell us a little about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Wes Andreen. I am the current owner of Just Trains. We've been in business for, as of this year, 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we're the last of kind of a dying breed. There's 3 stores left in the greater Bay Area, where before, like, we just flipped through some of the old train magazines, and like the Bay Area had probably 20 in the whole greater area. There's 3 of us left. We're the last of brick-and-mortar. So it's been a very fun adventure the last year and a half taking over the store. I work with my partner. I work with my daughter. I have a really great crew of people that help me thrive. It's been a little rough this last year. We've had to move recently. That kind of didn't help anything, but we're now at our new location, 1,400 square feet of fun and enjoyment. We enjoy helping the new people that are coming in, all the way up to the experienced rivet counters, the guys that, you know, could quote you every locomotive name and road in the United States and whatever train configuration they did, to those kids that are coming in and just getting into the hobby, you know, that have been train geeks like myself since I was in the 3rd grade. So this has been a very long-standing hobby for me. I've been in it on and off all of my life. So it's pretty fun.
That's great. Would you say it's been epic?
It has been an epic adventure.
There you go.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. The epic, like, it was like we're moving with the times and we're changing with the times. And so, yeah, I'm a brick and mortar, but I have an online profile and I have this online presence that we do a lot more business because the industry's changed. Sure. More people, instant gratification, but at the end of the day, our diehard people are here. They keep coming back. Last Christmas, it was really cool. We had the patriarch of the family. He was 92 years old. His son was in the store, and the older father helped Joan, the original owner, get the shop going. His son got his first train set from her. His son got his first train set from Jim, who's the previous owner.
Yeah.
And then the son that they have right now, the youngin', I sold him his first train set.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it was just amazing to see this change of just, from one generation to the next. And grandfather's trains are not what the kids are running today.
Absolutely. So just share a little about what makes model trains so fun and so interesting.
There's so much history tied into the nation because we built this nation on the back of railroad.
Yep.
I mean, so every kid has just every day they walk out and they can see a train literally a couple hundred feet from here.
Yep.
BNSF runs their trains right past here.
Right.
We've got an Amtrak station. So what makes it an epic industry is these kids are chasing, and all of us are chasing some not fantasy, but some degree of fantasy. Like, I want to be that guy sitting on that big train. I want to be, the conductor. I want to watch the steam and all of that. And then some of our younger folks, they want to get in this big old diesel locomotive. And, you got two big old, huge, monstrous diesel engines in there with thousands of pounds of horsepower pulling massive freight trains across the United States. So there's this, I got into it as a kid. I was in the 3rd grade. And my dad and mom got me a Bachmann starter set. Little tiny loop, little tiny locomotive 4 cars. And that started me on my journey into the hobby. But I watched right in my backyard trains, the Burlington Northern, come past every day with a load of molten sulfur because we had a oil plant in our area. And then lumber. We had a huge lumber company. All day long, these big trains. And way back in the day, sugar beets were king. And same here in Central California.
Yeah.
These big cars just full of these sugar beets rolling down the track going to the processing plant.
Yeah.
So it was in our backyard and it's in our culture. I am not one of those families that has a trained person in my family. But 9 times out of 10, I talk to my customers and they'll all say, oh, my grandfather worked for the railroad. My great-grandfather worked for the railroad. Some of my customers, they work for the railroad.
Right. So
it's just ingrained in our nature.
Definitely. Now, you did bring...
I brought some stuff,
You brought some stuff. So I want to make sure we have time to talk about, what did you bring, Wes?
So I have 2 very specific styles of locomotives. This is early steam. Okay. This is the stuff that you would probably see. Most people recognize the Jupiter and the 911 from Promontory, where they come together when the Transcontinental Railroad. This is a little bit of an older, this is like the teens, and this pulled everything from...
Can I pick that up?
Oh, absolutely. Take a look at that baby. Now, in this hobby, there's your traditionalists, these guys that run what we call analog.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
These locomotives, when you put them on the track, they're digitally controlled. This guy smokes. You've got sound. You've got the conductor ringing the bell. You have cab chatter where these people are, you can hear them talking. Hi, Bob, let's get it ready to roll. And so we've come from the days of where it's just an old controller, you put it on the track, the faster it goes, the brighter the light is.
Yeah.
Not anymore. This stuff is like cream of the crop stuff here. You're getting inside here, you got your firebox. There's a flicker light in here, so it looks like it's actually burning the coal.
Wow, that's so cool.
So this particular locomotive, the 844, the Union Pacific has something called the Heritage Program. A lot of folks know the big boy, the 4014.
Yeah.
They brought it out of mothballs. They've rebuilt her. She's traveling in for the 250th anniversary. She's doing a coast-to-coast
Victory tour.
Tour. And they're coming to Roseville in April.
Wow.
So the last time they were here was 2 years ago, and that was when we were moving the store. I didn't get to go see her.
Oh.
So this year it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to be staked out on the side of the highway. I'm going to watch her roll past because she's going to go up through Donner, up over Donner and back out. So it's going to be really cool to see her climbing the mountain and going through Donner Pass.
Definitely.
So I'm super stoked with that. But the industry has come a long way. It's not our grandfather, and most of our grandparents, in the 50s, they all got Lionel starter sets for Christmas. It's just the bread and butter of our industry, and it's still going strong. People are still enjoying the hobby, and they're still running their stuff from the 50s. Heck, we're getting stuff in the store from 1901, 1902, pre-war stuff.
Wow.
We're servicing and putting back on the track, running another 100 years.
Wow.
So it's come a long way from, the old 10-type tubular track to, it's a computer. I actually use my phone at the club I'm a member of. I control my trains from my phone.
Wow.
It's just, we've come so far in the industry. It's great.
Absolutely. And I remember as a kid, just the little circle, and funnily, fun every time just to have it go, even though the train honestly is just going around in a circle, and every 30 seconds we made a circuit, and of course being a boy and going, well, how fast can I make you go before it comes off the track? And
now you don't want to do that because an average locomotive like this is going to set you back about $600.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But we're not Gomez Adamsing these, where, you see in the TV show, we don't do that anymore.
No, we don't. Now, in your store, do you have like the really long track going around the store?
Unfortunately, in this new location, we don't. Now, when we were in our old location, yes, we had about 200 feet of track down one wall, 2 great big modular scenes. There was one that looked like Gotham from Batman.
Okay.
And then the back one was a little town called Benton. It was a lumber and mining town. So the detail that you could put into this, I mean, there's times where I'm part of a club called Carquinez Model Railroad Society in Crockett. One of the only clubs that own our building. It's an old Oddfellows Hall built in the 1800s. So the whole dance floor is just completely our layout, and it's 2 layers, big helixes going up and down, and it's just the camaraderie. And like there's times I go to the club and I totally forget to put a train on the track because I'm too busy talking to people.
Sure.
So it's fun. It's a good hobby, and it's an honest hobby, so to speak. You just put your passion into it, you figure out what you want to do, and then you just go from there.
Absolutely. So if someone just wanted to sort of dip their toe into it, investment-wise, what might it cost them to just have a basic model train track and setup?
So we still get the beginning of the Bachmann starter sets. We still get them in. They're about $350. Gives you a pretty decent size oval. It's just analog, so you put it on the track. The faster it goes, the brighter light goes.
Right.
And I call them yard sale trains because it does help the individual figure out if they really want to get into the hobby or not. And then a lot of times it's not for everybody. So the next year or so, you see them at the yard sale. They put them up for sale.
I get it.
But also too, when they get into it and now they make that next investment. And I have these 3 things that I always tell the newbies getting into the hobby. How much space do you have? How much time do you have? And how much money do you have?
Yeah.
If you don't have the space at home, we're very fortunate that there are like 15 clubs in a 50-mile radius of here. I mean, we've got old Lionel 3 rail, garden scale, which Baggers, Bay Area Garden Railroad Society, all over the place. And people have these huge backyard layouts, thousands of feet of track. And they're just, just having a great time. And they set up these meets and you drive from people's house to house to house to house, checking out their layout. Or there's some people that are here in the Bay Area, we don't have basements, like a lot of people do, but they can take a 2.5 car garage and take a little sliver of that garage and, 4x8 and make a pretty amazing layout. And then there's some of us that just don't have the space, and that's where the clubs come in. I work hand in hand with quite a few clubs as far as way as Lodi, Stockton. We have individuals that travel from Orville and Salinas to come up to the clubs in the Bay Area. So there's always something for somebody, and there's different scales too. I mean, so this is called HO scale, and it's the most modeled, most common. Most people look at this and they recognize that.
Yeah.
And then the step up is Lionel or O scale, and that's what most people recognize from their grandparents, their grandfather's day. And then there's N scale, which is half the size of this.
Okay.
I did in scale for the longest time, and unfortunately my vision got a little bad, so I had to upgrade to something a little bit bigger so I could see it. And then there are some folks that are just, may use the word sadist, it's called Z scale. Tiny.
Wow.
Tiny. And it's just so hard. I mean, I'd have to get magnifier out and, just to see it. But for those folks that are looking for space, that they don't have a lot of space, more bang for your buck if you go with Z and N, but HO is that's the common. That's what people love, and it's what's mostly manufactured.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned that there are clubs. That means that there's perhaps a little passion around it. So within the model train community, what are the the sides that people take, because I know in any hobby like this, there are the people who are, traditionalists, those who are embracing the more modern, those who say it's all Lionel or it's all, so where are the battles,
So just recently at CMRS, we are doing a lot of scenery work on the layout because it's been up for quite a few years. So it's needing to be updated, cleaned up. And the club models from Oakland Yards all the way out to Sparks. And so there was a couple places in there and the scenery guys go like, well, that doesn't look right. That didn't exist. Or, oh, you shouldn't have taken this orchard out because that's, Davis is known for their orchards.
Right.
Well, you took that out. And so you get that kind of creative, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative division. Some people want it to be what we call prototypical.
Yeah.
And then there are some people out there that are just whimsical. And we have the true heart guys that we call rivet counters. They're the ones that can quote every Southern Pacific locomotive, what year it was made, what year it was retired, was it scrapped, was it sold, and they're making sure that all of their passenger cars or all of their rolling stock is period correct to what they're pulling. And then there's the rest of us that go like, that looks freaking cool. I'm going to put all of these together and I'm going to run it. And I just enjoy just the creativity behind it. And I blend all the eras together because I do passenger service.
Got it.
So like the California Zephyr, which they still is a name you still recognize, or the Starlight, the Coast Starlight.
Yeah.
All of those were created in the 40s and 50s for traveling across the country. And, you sat down at a dining room table and you had linens and you had china and real silverware, and the porter would come and serve you. And then if you were on a long trip, you'd be, they would turn your bed down, and the sleeper cars, they would get it all made up. There's something so nostalgic in the hobby and in this because, you're looking back at a time we've almost forgotten, the time before planes and cars, when, steel rails was how you got coast to coast.
Right.
So.
And I was lucky many years ago. I was actually over in South Africa, and I got to ride on the Rovis rail.
Very cool.
Which was so cool. And Rovis rail has taken kind of vintage 1800, I'll call them traditional rail cars, luxury rail cars. It's a luxury trip that you point to point, and so cool to be able to ride on this. Luckily they put some modern
conveniences.
Well, there's modern conveniences, but the suspension has been updated so that you're not.
Oh yes.
You're not getting as rough a ride as it's got some dampering and stuff, which was certainly enjoyable.
They say you took your life in your hands in the late 1800s and early 1900s riding rail because there was no continuity, consistency in the rails, and they could be made at different heights, and they were bonded together and welded versus cast, and and you're going down the track, and it's just beating the heck out of you as you're going down the track. Modern conveniences are very nice, and air conditioning.
Yes, the air conditioning was definitely very nice. I will say that. So, what are misconceptions that the general public might have about model trainers?
So the biggest misconception is that you have to spend millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to have a decent running train, and you don't.
Right.
You can, the good thing about it is because there's so much used product out there, so much being recycled, so much stuff coming back in the secondhand market, which is most of what I do these days is buy and sell. So the biggest misconception of this is it's an expensive hobby or it's a dying hobby. It's not dying, it's just evolving and changing.
Got it.
And yes, it's a little more expensive than it used to be, say, 10 years ago. But yeah, the average individual could go out for, less than $1,000, have an amazing layout at home, have a really nice locomotive and some really good cars, and scenery wise, and you could do very well. So it's not a rich man's hobby. What was the singer's name? Paul McCartney. He had a huge layout in his home, and he spent millions of dollars to create what he was doing, and took over 1,000 square foot part of his house.
Sure.
You don't have to do that.
Right.
So, and introducing the kids that get into it, a lot of times they don't have the money.
Right.
So as we take in these old collections, we clean them, refurb them, and then we send the next generation out with those, and then they build from there. And it is, we're talking about the division too. There's a lot of purists, the river counters out there that want to educate the younger folks, but are they really educating them, or are they just kind of beating them out of the industry and, like, oh, I don't want to be there because, I'm getting yelled at because I don't have the right stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a compromise.
Definitely.
And that's one of the good things, a good club that has good membership. We have a junior engineering program once a quarter, 12 kids every single time. There's 12 kids there running their trains, getting into the hobby, and then that's where they transition into being a junior member, and then they stay with the club long enough, senior member.
Got it.
So yeah, it's and also too, they say it's an old man's club. So most of our customers are 65 plus.
Sure.
Because they started out doing the hobby when they were kids or younger, marriage, family, jobs, kids, and then now they've hit retirement, and they're bringing their stuff out of the attic, and they're setting it up, and they're going like, well, I'm a little behind the times, and so they're enjoying evolving with the hobby as well, and they're getting into it, and the younger generation, I can't tell you how many of the younger folks in their 20s and 30s that are in the club that are all about programming this stuff, and they're building trains where you modern locomotives, when you turn the horns on to go across a railroad crossing, the ditch lights on the bottom will flash.
Oh wow!
They're taking the circuitries and creating the flashing lights. Or my favorite was last night. One of our guys is for our 4th of July open house is coming up. He has a fire truck train.
Okay.
All of the lights on the fire trucks are flashing, and it's picking up power from the track. And this whole train, like 15 cars of all of these fire trucks, all of the lights are flashing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, you go across a railroad crossing in a couple places, you can hear the ding, 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 and the lights are flashing and the buildings are lit. My passenger cars that go with one of these particular sets, they're lit in the interior. So with modern digital, there's always a constant current flowing through the track. So your lights stay on inside the cars. In the old days, you turn the power off, and then of course the lights go dim and there's something. But now, I'm curating my collection where I'm taking them all apart and I'm putting people inside the cars. I'm putting plates on the table. I'm actually making tablecloths to go over the tables, and vases with little flowers in them.
Yeah.
So
much the same way that like the complex doll houses.
Yes.
My girlfriend's mom has this beautiful doll house, and it's got, little lights that actually run, little sconces, and it's all like circa 1900 farmhouse thing. So cool. And I assume it's the same kind of thing, because again, you're working on a really small scale.
Yes. 1/180th is the scale of HO, but the fun thing is now we've got these crossover hobbies.
Right.
As hobby stores are closing and they're going out, and we're picking up those folks. So a lot of the ladies are coming in looking for the scenery and the stuff that we use for building our layouts. They're looking for the scenery stuff to build inside of their doll houses.
Yeah.
So we've got that.
Or around, because they're like, I want some bushes, I need some grass, I need some trees, I need...
The folks that play D&D, the 3D board games, they're coming in all the time looking in for advice, how to make the ground look more realistic. How do you, HO scale buildings, O scale buildings are the perfect size. And, they're building these 3D board games. They can't get that anywhere else now because we've lost our hobby shops.
Sure.
So now they're coming to us to be able to get the paint. They're coming for us to get all the flocking to make their own trees. And it's just amazing how the hobbies are kind of melding back together. For the longest time, it was, you did have a hobby shop and there was a section here and a section here, or you had a dedicated, because we're called Just Trains, but we're not Just Trains anymore, because we're evolving. And there's a funny story behind how the name Just Trains came along. Joan and her husband used to have the store down off of Clayton, and it was called Rare Avis, rare bird. So when she got everything set up and she moved the store from its old location to the new location, people would call and say, "Oh, do you sell birds?" No, we're Just Trains. "Oh, do you rent cars?" No, we're Just Trains. And then so that's when she made the decision, it's going to be Just Trains. And it's stuck ever since.
Well, that's great. That's great. And yeah, I mean, it's on the one hand sad that so many hobby shops are not around anymore. But like everything, we all must evolve, and times change and we must change with them. We must evolve, otherwise we will be extinct like the dodo bird.
Exactly. Yep. I hate being in a situation. I'm a member of a much larger train organization, and at least once or twice a week we end up getting somebody's liquidating their store inventory. Because they can't find anybody young to buy the store, or anybody who wants to buy the store. Because I'm telling you, it's daunting being a small business owner this day and age.
Absolutely.
And especially with a lot of everything we get is made in China. So now we're struggling to get stuff coming in, and supply and demand. So that's why we've had to evolve and diversify, and that's why I buy all these collections. And I don't want to say that my local market has dried up, but most of my customers have curated their collection. They've got what they want, so they're not shopping as much as they used to.
Makes sense.
There might be one locomotive that'll come out, and and then they'll pre-order it. And it's weird too, because in our industry, they'll send out a pre-order for a locomotive a year and a half in advance. So then we get everybody out there, we tell everybody, okay, let's get the pre-orders in, and then a year and a half it gets delivered. Some people don't like waiting that long. So that's how the industry is changing. So that's why we've had to evolve, especially getting used inventory in.
Absolutely. Well, Wes, our time is almost up. I know. So much to talk about.
For hours.
So little time. But clearly you are very passionate about your trains and about supporting everyone, not just in the trains, but just here in the Bay Area with their hobbying. And that is great. I want to thank you for doing that, because you are doing a service for so many people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And where can people find you? Where's the store? So
we're at 1170 Burnett Avenue, Suite L. We're just behind Ashley Furniture and Trader Joe's off of Concord Avenue. Willowick Shopping Plaza. Just-trains.com is our website, and we've got a map on there how to find us. You can always call the store. We'll be glad to talk to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And as always, remember, epic choices lead to the epic life that you want.